Listen, I'm about to record a video and there's a rabbit in my backyard. And I just want to show you that really quick. So hang on, I'm going to flip this around. Look at this. Look, do you see this rabbit right here? Bro, how cool is that guy? He's like right under the swing set. He goes into my yard and he eats the clover. That's why, you know, all my neighbors, they're always like, oh, HW, use that pre-emergent, get that clover out of there. I'm like, no. What's this little guy gonna eat if I take the clover out? Like, what's he gonna eat? Nothing? He's just not gonna eat anything? I'm not down with that, you know what I'm saying? I'm not trying to have that guy starve. He's my buddy. He's my little guy out there. Where is he? Where'd he go? There he is. Well, he's out there, and he's eating, and it's almost dinner time, so he should be eating. Well, hello there, my name is HW, and thank you so much for watching Junkie TV. Dudes, I was gonna make like a very different video. I was gonna make this video about how I supersized this amp behind me. I supersized the Vibro Champ amp, and it's huge now, and it's incredible. But it like didn't work out. And let me like explain, because there's a whole bunch of reasons. And I want to do more videos like this where I just tell you really what's up, because I feel like there's like this weird facade that sometimes sort of exists between like me when I'm making videos and people. But at the same time, I feel like I'm trying to make content that people enjoy. But sometimes I'm not just like being me all the time. I don't know. It's just like sometimes there's stuff I want to say, and I don't always know how to take that thing and package it into a video that I think is getting clicks. So screw clicks. You know what I mean? Like one of the great things about Tone Junkie is I feel like making videos has really. I've met so many people, and I have so many friends online, and a lot of what I love is I've become like people's guitar friend. Like I've had that feedback from people. People are just like, oh, you're like my, you know, like, oh, you're like one of my guitar friends, because I don't have enough guitar friends. And I'm like, okay, cool. Like I'm your guitar friend. I don't know you, but you know me. That's cool. And I'm happy to be people's guitar friend, even if it's like a one-sided conversation. But like, there's a couple things that I think about when I try to make a profile pack, and that is, am I into it? Like, does it sound good? Is it cool? And then the other one is like, does anyone care about this, right? Because like, you know, there's so many great things, and like, what's, you know, one man's trash is another man's treasure, right? It's like, you take like an old, like beat up, you know, ugly little amp that nobody ever heard of, and maybe it's super awesome, you know, but does anybody care about that? I don't know. I don't always know. And so sometimes there's really cool amps like a Vox AC50 and AC100. I'm looking at them, they're right over here. And it's like, do people know about these? And so there's sort of like a thing I feel like the need to educate people and like show them, here's what happens with this amp when you plug it into this, or here, you know, here's how it's different than an AC30. But then there's other amps that people just don't know about, and they seemingly don't care about, right? Like for me, the Gibson amps, the vintage ones, are really cool. People know about the Skylark because of like Rhett Shull, but they don't know about always like the Hawk, right? And I think that's my favorite. But I made profiles of that amp, and like people just weren't that into it, right? Like that's okay. Like it's not an amp that like has been on a bunch of famous records. People aren't like, oh, that's the sound, you know. But they're super cool amps, right? And they're kind of cheaply made, so I understand why they haven't become famous, you know, and stuff. But basically what I did, and sort of in the vein of like, you know, everyone's my friend, I try to put out free packs every now and then, right? And so I try to make a free pack of this Vibro Champ amp, right? This one right here. And it sounds great. It's lovely. And you can get that free pack. It's on Tone Junkie. It's on the ToneJunkieStore.com website. But, you know, here I am going, this is cool. I like this. Let me make it free. Partly because I'm like, I don't know if everyone's super into a Champ. Like, do people know that sounds way different? Or do they just think the Princeton's better, right? Is it like, is the Champ appreciated for its characteristics? Or is it just viewed as like, it's the cheap little guy? I think it's a little more the latter. I think it's viewed that way. So I said, okay, well, let's just make it free because I don't want people to be hung up. I want people to hear it and enjoy it, and it'll be cool. But I thought, okay, how are we going to make it even better, right? How are we going to, I'm into it, but how are we going to make other people be into it? And that is where I decided to plug it into a 15-inch speaker. And it sounds like a really good idea. It really does. It sounds like you should be able to plug that thing in to my much more expensive 64 Vibroverb. And like, let me like be clear about something. That amp is like cheap. Like you can buy these for not that much money. They're under $1,000. Like, I don't even know what that cost. Like, I don't know. It's like under $1,000. Go look at like a really nice Vibro Champ. Like you can get them. And that Vibroverb's like a 10K amp. So you should be able to plug it into the 15-inch speaker and it should like be incredible. But it doesn't change your life. Like, I'll show you what it sounds like. There are amps out there that like, they're the way they should be. You know what I mean? Like, you can't make it better. Like, this was gonna be, I supersized it and it's the best thing ever. It's not the best thing ever. Like, it's like, there's so many amps, I think, that actually the speaker is a big part of the sound, and it's already like sometimes they just designed them right the first time. You can't really make it better by changing it. Or you can make it different, but like it doesn't come out better. So like, I don't know, like you plug that in and it's an 8 and it sounds great. You plug it into the 15 and it's like, this was supposed to be life-changing. But was it? All right, so like I was saying before, the sound of the speaker is often as much a part of the amp sound that we think of as the amp circuit itself. And so a really good example of, in my travel, speakers that I think are almost more important than the amp itself is the Alnico Blues that come, or the Alnico Silvers that come in Vox AC30s and AC15s. What you have is an amp circuit that has this very high top boosted boost to the presence in the power section, and then you have these speakers. And what we think of as an AC30 sound is really those Alnico speakers sort of cutting off a lot of that presence and coming in with like a little focusy kind of EQ of their own, and that really gives us the sound of an AC30. If you put an AC30 through other speakers, you'll immediately hear what the Alnico sort of characteristic is. And so making these profiles, I knew already from switching speakers and stuff that it wouldn't come out exactly like we anticipate. You would think of an 8-inch speaker as being kind of wimpy, and a big 15 as being, real strong and powerful, and it's maybe, but it's not really quite. The characteristics are different. They're just different. How bright is a speaker? How present in it? How tight is the bass? It's all up for question. And so let me show you what I mean. Here is the 64 Vibro Champ 3. Again, this is free on the Tone Junkie website, tonejunkistore.com. And here's with the little 8-inch speaker. To me, I'm impressed with how just low and bellowy that sounds, for that little 8-inch speaker. Is some of that the mic placement? Sure. But I mic'd these kind of in the same spot relative to the center of the cone. So that tightness in the bass that you get out, it's interesting. What gives you that tight bass sound? Is it the littler speaker, like the 10-inch speaker they use in bass rigs, or is it that big 15? Tightness is kind of a quality a lot of times of a smaller speaker that's a little more controlled. So you get, with a close mic kind of thing, you get this sound that you wouldn't normally really expect out of a little 8-inch speaker. I mean, listen to this. there between these two pickup combinations, you just get that awesome bellowy sort of sound, even out of any inch speaker. Now I'm going to lock the effects so we have the exact same effects so that that's not messing with our mind or how we're hearing things. And now here is the same settings on the amp. And for some reason, this profile comes out with, like, I think slightly less gain. And here is the 64 Vibro Champ 15.3. And you're immediately going to hear this. Immediately you can hear this is sort of a different animal completely. We get a much less roaring bass than you might expect. I was expecting more tightness, and we have the same thing. I have a little EQ on, just polishing out all these profiles. Without it though, I mean, it's just giving me little accents that I enjoy, but this is not what I would expect. This is not what I would expect. Now, it's in the same spot on the cone relative to the 8-inch speaker, but what's interesting to me about these is a lot of this is the close mic sound. Okay, we're getting into the weeds. It's the close mic sound. This is one of those videos that's really for the dorks. It's the close mic sound. So does that sound exactly how it sounds in a room? Are there other points on the speaker, other areas of the speaker that are making different frequencies that maybe don't get picked up or aren't as picked up, are being attenuated because of the mic positioning? Sure, I guess so. I mean, all that's always there. You're always listening in a room. You're always experiencing sound in a location, because sound is a physical thing that we experience in a physical environment. You can never get away from that. You can put headphones in your ears, but that's just captured in a physical environment. What I really find is an attribute of 15-inch speakers is that they're slower. They're like slower, they sag a little bit. They just do a different thing. It's almost like they're slower to respond because they have more, it takes more time to get the whole speaker to move. I don't know if that makes sense. And immediately it sounds like the Vibro Champ is brighter, also more bassy, more scooped, and just a little more authoritative to me anyway. And that's because, you know, there's no bright switch. So it's really like kind of voiced for that little speaker. It's the same attribute I find in the Princeton. The Princeton actually has a really tight bass for a little amp, and that's why a lot of people like to close mic them. It has a tight little bass in that 12-inch speaker, or that 10-inch Princeton speaker, and it's like a rock machine. I mean, it's really awesome. So freaking ballsy. That's how I could just put it. That little 8-inch speaker is ballsy. It messes with your mind. It's not what you it's not what you would expect. It's just not, you know? All right, so, you know, there you go. I mean, in my opinion, it's just not, there's nothing there that is like, wow, they should have made it this way. They should have made it, you know, with a 15-inch. You know, 10 is better than 8 and 12 is better than 10. And is that the way it is? I don't think so. There's a lot of counterintuitive stuff, like tighter bass comes with usually smaller speakers. That's not something we ever really talk about. Like, you get two 10s, you can get some really tight bass. Now, the amp's got to have bass, because I've had two 10s in that Vox AC10, and I don't think that amp has tight bass. But it might be those speakers. But it seems like you take, in general, you take less material, moving it back and forth, and you get like a tighter bass sound. And I don't know what that means exactly. It just means, what doesn't mean anything. You know what I mean? Not every video, here's what I'm learning. Not every video can be this like eye-grabbing attention, like, oh, this is, I supersize this, or the, you know, the riff they don't want you to know. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is not a sexy video, because at the end of the day, the 8-inch speaker I thought sounded better than the 15-inch speaker. What do you do with that? What do you do with that? You tell people, don't buy the 10K amp, just buy this one? But the 10K amp is my favorite on its own, but it's like already, it's voiced for that thing. Sometimes it sounds really good. Like, I'm gonna take this speaker and put it with this one. It's gonna be even better. It's not better. It's just different. And that's okay. That's okay. I wish I had some big conclusion here, but I really don't. They both sounded good. It's just one sounded a lot better than the other. You know what I'm saying? It's like, I don't know. It's going to relate to the rabbit or something, but I really can't think of anything. I've been HW. Thanks so much for watching Junkie TV.